Hey all, hi, this is Jo with Click to Restore and I'm a brand ambassador for Redesign with Prima and I'm live with you today on their Facebook page. So as you hop on, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. I will just, without wasting much of your time, I'll just start to explain and show you what I am here for. And if you have any questions, you can just put on here and I will try to answer as I paint and do the designing. And if not, then I will go back and answer all your questions. So like I said, let me know where you're watching from. I am based in Dallas, Texas, USA, and I love to know where our followers and viewers and fans, they all watch from. So I'm going to just move the camera off my face, just focus on the project, and let's begin to roll. I know it's a Friday evening and all of you must be having plans, so I won't take much of your time and just get on to the business. So this is the buffet that I worked on last week with you all. Last Friday, and this is what I did. I don't know if you remember, but I did a raised stencil on this piece, and I used the stencil, the smaller one, and I did the raised stencil with the chalk paste from Redesign with Prima and their stencil. So the stencil that I used for this project was this one, and it is dotted flourish. This is the smaller version, just the two designs. So this is what I used for the raised stencil. Is pretty much easier to use a smaller size, and it also comes in a large size. This is the large stencil in the same design, dotted flourish, and this is what I use on the inside of the doors. Why? Because it's much faster and easier, so I used it on the inside of this piece. Now the thing is, I wanted a pop of color and I wanted some nice designing on here. So what I've decided is using this tissue paper. So this is the tissue paper from Redesign with Prima. Again, all the products are from Redesign with Prima that I'm using. And this is how it looks like. It has the pink florals here that I plan to use on these doors on the inside just for a pop of color. And I will be probably using the 3 because this is how it looks like. They come in 2 sheets. And this is the Zara, Z-A-R-A Zara tissue paper, and I will be using 3, so 1 on each door, and there are 3 doors here. So I will be first going on and showing you how to do decoupage with tissue paper, and then I will be doing stencil and also using stamp on this because the size of this tissue paper, this edge, like on the top and on the bottom, it will not be covered with this tissue paper, so I'll be hiding that with stamp, and this is the stamp that I will be using, and this is basically I will be focusing on and using the stencil, but I will be using paint with the stamp and not the ink. Okay, so what products you need when you are doing a decoupage? You can do decoupage, and this question is asked a lot because I do a lot of decoupage on my furniture pieces. So you can use a Mod Podge for this, but I typically don't use it because it's very sticky and gluey. So what I do is I use a top coat. So today I will be using a top coat in matte from Mud Paints. It's just handy and leftover, so I will be using this one up. And then I will be using a Klingon brush. Now I was working with it, so what I usually do is I just wrap them in the Klingon brush so that I can use this brush on my project if I'm working on the same day. Hey guys, I can see a couple of you hopping on here. So that's nice, you're hanging out here on a Friday evening. So what I've done is I have, this is the wood. I just sanded it down lightly with the Surf Prep sanding pad. I sanded it down. After that, I cleaned it and I did the stencil. And I showed in the beginning of this live that I use this stencil. Just put it like here. I don't do any spray adhesives or anything. I just put it right here, held it with my hand, and I rolled on the paint over it. And I will be doing it on this 3rd door here right behind it after I finish the decoupage, and I will show you how to stencil. So I did the stenciling and now I will be doing the decoupage. So I will just go and align it and see which is the front and which is the back. So the front is always darker, so it won't be confusing and you can figure out. And then the borders are just on the top and the bottom, and this is the center because they all align, so you can make out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and first put the top coat. If you have any questions, please let me know. And if it's not visible or audible, then also let me know. So I will go ahead and put the top coat first. So I'm applying this top coat gently with a lighter hand, just because I have to stick the decoupage tissue paper on this. So it acts like a sealer as well. So once your surface is covered nicely with the top coat, I will take the tissue paper, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it right here in the center because I want the floral. So I'm gonna leave a little bit off the top because I know it doesn't go right in the center. And I am going to just press it just to squeeze out any air bubbles that may be there inside. It's very important you just go and, you know, just run your hand through and squeeze out any air bubbles that may be, and it just goes on and sticks right onto the surface. So once it's on, I'm gonna go and put the second sheet here on the base. And you can use any top coat that is available and it's handy. It's not any particular top coat that you need. You can also use Mod Podge. It's totally up to you. So I put a little bit on the trim so that when I overlap it, it just goes and stick onto the surface. So now you have to be very careful because you have to align the roses here. So just keep on moving and it's right on here. And you really cannot make out, you know, just see the line here once you seal this whole tissue paper. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim these sides. So I'm using the Surf Prep sanding sponge here. You see it's a sponge and it's much easier for gripping and for doing such light sanding. So I will just go and trim the edges. So I'm going to stretch it. You can see I'm just stretching it right behind here, and then I'm going to sand it lightly. So it's totally up to you. You can trim it, measure, trim, and then put on the decoupage, but I just like it this way. It's much easier. So you see how crisp and nice this distressing with the sponge makes, and if you get a very, very crisp and a clear line here, and it just cuts the extra tissue paper. So just pull it from behind a little bit and keep on sanding. Now you see this is coming off. Now we are going to seal it later on once we take the extra out. I'm gonna show you how you go back and you seal this tissue paper. And it's pretty thick. It's more like a drying sheet that we use in our dryers. It's pretty thick. But that's what I like about it because I don't have to paint the base. It does just a nice job. So once I've trimmed the side, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the top coat and I'm gonna seal it. The trims, and once it dries, it's gonna dry really firm. So I'm going to seal all the edges first so that it doesn't come off. And then I'm going to seal the whole tissue paper. And I'm going to trim this side the same way I did the other. I'm gonna stretch it a little bit. I'm gonna move you a little bit forward so you can see it much closer. I see this here, because there is a hardware here, it will be a little bit tricky, so I will stretch it a little bit more and just work on this corner to get the tissue paper right off as the curve is on the door. So this is the extra, and I will just remove this, and I'll go and do the base. So this is done, and you see how accurate this is, and these are the extras that I save, and I do some smalls. I will use these ones. So I move this aside, and I go and just seal this tissue paper right here. And this is so forgiving because, you know, once it dries, you cannot see anything underneath, and it just looks so beautiful. And the top coat is transparent, it's clear, so it dries very beautiful. So I'm gonna go and seal this whole tissue paper. So it takes about an hour or two to completely dry, and this is how it looks like. So on the front, like I showed you, on the front is the raised stencil. I know I chose a white color because I wanted it to be more subtle instead of coming out, you know, very bright and bold. I wanted a very sober look for that. So this is what I did on my last live. I did the raised stencil. It's very neutral, distressed, and on the inside it looks like this. So when you open, you have the florals here, and this is how it looks like. So on the trim, you see this part. What I'm gonna do here is, this is what I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna move the stencil and show you what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to be using this stamp. That is the stripes. And you can find all these products that I'm using from Redesign with your local retailer. I've left the link above, so you can go and check with their local retailers if they have it. If not, then I put in my link. You can order from there too. So these are the rubber stamps from Redesign with Prima. These are the numbers. You can just pull apart like each and single number. So they are from 1 to 0, and then these are the stripes. One of them on the top and one of them on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these here, and I'm gonna use it here so that my wood is, you know, not visible. For that, I'm going to be using the paint. I'm gonna pull you down and show you. So I'm going to be using Wise Owl Bone. This is the color that I've used on the stencil. This is a roller from Redesign with Prima, and trust me, it's one of the best rollers that I've ever used. It's so amazing. You can paint with it. You can do all your stencils. Like I did my stencils on the door. I use this. I really love this roller so much. What is that you put on to stick it on and finish? It's the varnish. You can use any top coat. Today I use the mud paint clear coat on sealing this decoupage paper. But you can use any clear coat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a tiny bit of paint, and you can see how you can use your stamps with chalk paint. And I use a lot of chalk paints with my stamps. I just like the clear and crisp look, which I don't get with the ink. So this is the roller. Now the trick of using the roller is you load it with the paint. And I have done like huge wall stenciling with the Redesign stencils and the same roller. And it's so amazing. So you take tiny bit of paint on the entire roller, and you know, keep on rolling so that the paint gets absorbed into the roller, into the foam, and it doesn't bleed, it doesn't blot underneath your stamps or your stencils. So keep on rubbing so that the paint just goes and settles well into the foam. And once you have it, I'm gonna take this stamp, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use probably this. This is the plastic sheet so I don't dirty the floor. And then I'm gonna roll it on the stamp nicely. And once it's right on here, and let me get you, pull you forward so you can see what's going on. Okay, and then I will be going and stamping this on the top because I really don't want the wood to be seen. So I'm gonna put it right here and press it. And do you see it? The whole decoupage paper, the line that was there, it's gone. And then I will be doing the edges with the gold paint, gold wax from Redesign with Prima, and Eternal is my favorite. So that is what I'm going to be using on that to hide the transitioning and the trim on with the decoupage paper. So I'm gonna move this side and just align this right here. And done. And you can wash this in plain running tap water or clean it with just a wipe or something. So this is how it looks like, and you can use any stamp you want. So, and this, see, it's almost dried. So that's the best part of the paint, the top coat that I use from Mud Paints. It dries super duper fast, and I can literally tell you it's all dried and it's all ready. Okay, so what I'm gonna do and show you now is the stenciling part. So I'm gonna close this and I'm gonna show you how you can use your stencils. So this is what I did, like I said, raised stencil, but I'm gonna do that door just with the paint. So let me open this, okay? And move this here so that you can see. I have tons of furniture lying here for pickups tomorrow, and I've used a lot of Redesign with Prima products on that too. So I'm going to be using the Dotted Flourish a stencil on this piece. Okay, so first I'm gonna go and put some paint again on the plate and roll it nicely so that, and I will be using just once and it will be done. So take the paint on the paper plate. Okay, and then I'm gonna again load the roller with the paint. Now when you're stenciling, you have to be very careful because you don't want the paint to ooze out under the stencil and just your project goes like really bad and you have to overdo it. So I have the roller ready and I'm just going just random. I'm not using any spray adhesive. I'm not using any painter's tape. I'm just gonna put it here, okay? And I will hold it with my hand and I will stencil this. So maybe I can do this because it's the end. And ready? So you have to use the roller very gently. And again, you can just go and wash the stencil under running tap water. So I will take it to the bathing tub and I will just go and wash it there. And Wise Owl paints are very, very easy to work with, and you know, you can just wash it very easily. I have compared it with other paints where it's very difficult to take them out of the stencils, but Wise Owl paints are so quick and easy to remove. So we're done. See? It's sort of a distressed look and not a very, very clean kind of a look, but still you can see that it comes out pretty well. And there is no smudging or blotting or anything underneath, and it just comes out crisp and clean, and it takes 5 minutes to dry. And once it dries completely, I'll again go back and do the decoupage. So we used a stamp today, we used stencils, and we used the tissue paper and I showed you how you can do this. So this is the same stencil on the outside and the inside, and this is how it looks like now. So when you open the doors, you have all the florals here, and on the outside you have the raised stencil. So I pretty much felt that this needs something more. That's why I went ahead and I put on this tissue paper, but you can still see the stenciling, right? You can see the details, can you? When I bring you closer, you can see the details of the stencils here showing through, and which is what I wanted, a pop of something. I don't know, something. I wanted something more floral and more nice. So this is the decoupage. This is a tissue paper that I used today. It's Zara, and it's 19 by 30, so 2 sheets typically you will need for 1 door. So I will be using 3 of them and completing this entire buffet, and I will be sharing it with you guys on my page and on the Redesign with Prima page. Hey Tammy. So yeah, the stencil is really beautiful, and the best thing is that it used to come in this big size. I can see what the dimension is. I don't have it handy. Let me pull out. I have this one here. So it's 22 by 28. 22 by 28. It was the large size, and this release we have the smaller version. So this is the smaller one that we got, and it is called Dotted Flourish, and these are the 2 typical. So this smaller size I used to do the raised stencil with the chalk paste, and the bigger one I used on the door. So if you want to order any of the product from decoupage paper to stencils to stamps, you can go and find your local retailer, or you can go and check on the link I've posted above. So I hope I have checked on all the questions and answered your questions. So thank you so much guys for tuning in, especially on a Friday evening when every one of you, I'm supposing everyone has a plan tonight. So have a great weekend, and God bless you all. Take care. Bye-bye.